This is Father Charlon Mason, and I'm retired now, but I was the pastor of St. Joseph Church in Pewamo, Michigan for 22 and a half years. And on Easter Sunday morning of the year 2007, we actually witnessed at Mass a Eucharistic miracle, a bleeding host. It was Easter Sunday morning. It was a children's Mass. It was a particularly beautiful day, and it was a beautiful Mass. And there was kind of a rarefied air of spirituality at that Mass, which wasn't usually part of my consciousness, but there was something about the music and the atmosphere, and the children, their faces, they were the choir at that Mass that was unique and special. And I conducted the Mass, and I consecrated the hosts, and of course the precious blood. And the Eucharistic minister came up to assist me, and so I removed some consecrated hosts from my main ciborium, and I put them in the assistant ciborium, and what was left of my hosts in my ciborium presented to me in the very center of the ciborium of hosts, a bleeding host. And I picked it out because it had a scab and blood that I saw emanating. I saw the blood stain expanding throughout the host. It didn't drip off the host, but I saw its movement, the stain, its movement penetrating, absorbing throughout the host. And one side, the pattern was different from the other side. Well, I took it out of the hosts and I set it aside on a linen cloth, and I continued on with the Mass. And I was quite amazed. I didn't really know what to think about it. The last thing I ever thought about saying Mass was to have a bleeding host. But anyway, I set it aside, and at the end of Mass I said to the congregation, I said, something very special happened here, very interesting, and I've not seen such a thing before. And if you'd like to see it, a blood-stained host, I'll put it up by the tabernacle, and you can look at it after Mass if you're interested. So that's exactly what I did, and a handful of people, but certainly many didn't stop to look at it. Many did not, but some did, and agreed with me that it was a blood-stained host. And I have parishioners still today at St. Joseph in Pewamo that believe that it really happened. My brother was there that day, happened to be present from another parish, and he saw it, and we believe that it actually happened. Now, the bishop never saw it. He wanted me to dispose of it, but I kept it in a reliquary in the tabernacle for quite some time. A reporter from the Grand Rapids Press came and photographed me in my vestments with the host, and the article appeared on the front page of the Grand Rapids Press. And of course, people pro and con responded through the newspaper, believers and non-believers, and a theologian from Aquinas doubted it, quite considerably doubted it, but never saw it in person. And then finally, the bishop insisted that I dispose of it. And he suggested that I consume it. But instead of consume it, what I did with it was I put it in the host in a cup of water that was very warm water. It completely dissolved in that water. And I went out and I poured half of the water at the foot of the statue of St. Joseph, which at that time graced the front yard of St. Joseph Church in Pewamo. So I put half of the liquid there in the ground, the geraniums that graced that statue, and the rest of it, I got in the car with the secretary and I think the bookkeeper and the DRE, and we drove maybe 7 miles to the grave of my parents, who are buried at Kiefer Cemetery in Orange Township, Lyons, Michigan, and I poured the remaining water over the tombstone and the graves of my mother and father. And that's a true story. It actually happened. And it's one of the most meaningful things that ever happened in my life, one of the high points spiritually in my life. And I feel that it changed my life, my attitude, my spirit, my behavior, my disposition. And I believe that I became a much better priest, I'd say a holier priest, because of that incident. And it's changed my life forever. And that's a true story. And this is February the 21st, 2021. And it still seems as fresh and as real as it did the instant it happened. And thank you for listening.